Hey, welcome to the Bean and BCord podcast on August 17th, 2020. A great day for Denver sports as far as the two teams that are currently in the playoffs are concerned. We are recording this as the Rockies game is currently in progress, so we'll know the result of that a bit later. But first off, this morning the Nuggets were playing the Utah Jazz and managed to win in overtime, 135 to 125. Obviously, a game that could have gone either way. Some of that was the Nuggets doing. Some of it was Donovan Mitchell and him balling out and putting up 57 points. So, what are your initial thoughts after a game one victory for the Nuggets?
It was a really fun game to watch, but really stressful as a Nuggets fan. You saw them dominate more or less the first half, and they contained Mitchell for the first quarter, but ever since the second quarter, he was going off, and we couldn't really have an answer because our main defender on him, Torrey Craig, got into early foul trouble, and he's really the only answer we've had for him all season. So with that combined with just how hot he got, he was 19 for 33, I see, on 57 points, which is insane. But the Nuggets were able to force an overtime, luckily. And then Jamal Murray was I think, the storyline of the game. It was fun to see him break out, and he had an insane kind of a performance you want to see from who's going to be your starting point guard going forward. You want to see these clutch moments, see that he has the ability to take over when Jokic was struggling a little bit down the stretch. And it's nice to see you have that really strong second option. You hope that stays a consistent theme because with him, the biggest thing with him is consistency. So, but that was a lot of fun to watch him get really hot. And he couldn't miss at the end of the game. He was running it. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. It was cool to see. Obviously, this is only the beginning of a bigger sample size, I guess we'll get on for 2020 playoff. Jamal Murray, obviously, he said it himself. He has unfinished business this postseason. During the game, they talked about his workout regimen during the pause in the season, and just kind of just he went to Kobe Bryant's camp last summer before
Yeah.
Kobe sadly passed away in January, and you kind of saw that Mamba mentality come out in him a little bit.
Yeah, you like to see that.
It's
It's
awesome.
promising.
Yeah, it's awesome to see, and he just looked confident out there. Which, going back to Game One against the Spurs last year, kind of just as a barometer to compare. I don't know. That's kind of how I was watching the game through that lens.
Hmm.
But Jamal Murray faltered down the stretch in that Game One loss to the Spurs in the first
Yeah,
playoff last year, and this year it seems like we're still young, but we're
definitely.
we're taking those steps. So obviously, the expectation is to win this series against Utah, and then the next series would be against either Dallas or the Clippers, and we're just gonna go ahead and say it's the Clippers. Is that okay with you?
I'm watching the game right now. Dallas is up by 3, halfway through the third quarter. This
So
could be a good
I I,
series
I
between them.
mean I mean,
But yeah, you think the Clippers would pull out a 7-game series.
but yeah,
But
if you
yeah,
end up playing the Clippers, um, I think that would probably be a tougher matchup than Portland was last year. And
definitely.
and I don't know, this year's team probably maybe could have been that Portland team last year. You just can't really say, but I don't know. It just felt like last year in that second round, that series slipped away. Game 6, we kind of just lost it a little bit. And then Game 7 was just we just I don't know. We didn't fall. I don't want to say we fell apart because we didn't, but it just felt like a series that the Nuggets should have
It
won.
felt like, yeah, but it felt like they weren't confident in that for a lot of that series, really, especially Game 7. And that's a big key, especially for Jamal Murray. His biggest thing is confidence. If you watch the game early on, it was in the second quarter when or the entire first half, he started out driving, but then kicking out. He had a wide open layup at one point, and he saw Gobert coming in. Instead of finishing strong, he threw it away, and it was a turnover. And right after that, he went on a 10-0 run himself, and that's when he flipped the switch. He had confidence. He was finishing strong. He believed in his own ability, and that's how he plays best. That's when he plays best, when he has his confidence. I saw him drive, and he'd give up open layups trying to make it another pass. I'm like, dude, you gotta be confident in your own ability. You're good enough to make those shots, and he showed it. Once he had that confidence, he was lights out, and he was hitting everything. And then just down the stretch in the fourth quarter and overtime, he was the guy to go to. In recent history, that guy has been Jokic, that we've been trusting with taking us in the fourth quarter and overtimes. So that was a lot of fun to see. Like I said, a new face arise in that position, and his confidence was really the X factor for it. I don't know, it just changes everything for his game and how other players around him react.
For sure, yeah. It was good to see. Jokic, Murray deferred to Jokic on that last shot. That play made sense, though.
I thought that was the right play. At first, I was like, "Oh, Jamal's hot. You should have given it to Jamal." And then I'm like, "Well, Jokic has always been that guy in that position, always, and I trust him in that position." And then I was thinking, "Oh, Jokic shouldn't have pump faked at the free throw line. He should have shot that." And then I was thinking, "Well, he obviously had a better percentage shot after the pump fake driving in. It was just unlucky that it didn't go in."
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't upset at that play call by any means.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's just like the Nuggets had two separate 10-point or 10-plus point leads in the first half. And both times the Jazz came back and tied the game. And I don't know, just watching the game, that kind of frustrated me because it just felt like once we got the lead, we started to get passive,
Yeah.
and down the stretch, we couldn't even put Michael Porter Jr. in the game just because, I don't know.
They were targeting him. They were targeting him on defense, which is really smart on the Jazz part. He was obviously the weakest point. You see them set screens up to switch him onto Donovan Mitchell, and he could blow right by him every single time. And we're lucky he didn't foul him that much and get some and ones. But that's definitely something I think he now realizes the intensity of NBA playoff basketball. And I actually saw a post game comment from him saying he does realize that that's a big factor, and that's the biggest thing with these playoffs now is that just defense. You have to stay locked in every single time, and hopefully that flips a switch for him defensively. I think it was a big wake up call for him because he started out shooting well, and then tapered off, and he's someone who you would like to have helping you out in the fourth quarter. But if he's a liability on defense, then you can't do that. So.
Yeah.
You'd hope that's a big wake-up call for him.
Yeah.
And figuring that out soon.
Yeah, and Doris Burke alluded to it in the broadcast. She said that last year Jamal Murray had to be taken out in certain situations because of how he played defense, and that this year, I don't know, they were saying just throughout the season it seems like he's grown in that area, and you kind of hope you can see something similar happen with MPJ. So.
Yeah, something like that. Obviously, it's all about growth and experience. Last year, it was Jamal Murray's first playoff experience, and he's obviously gotten so much better. He talked about gaining his muscle mass and being a lot more physically ready for these playoffs, and that's something that'll come with experience with Michael Porter Jr. And hopefully, he can learn that experience fast enough to help the team out right now.
How much do you think the Nuggets should be concerned if and when Mike Conley comes back?
I don't think they should be too concerned. Right now, this game was a good thing to look at for the Nuggets' perspective because it proves what I said in the last podcast is that Donovan Mitchell's their only scoring option, and he proved that. And I also said that Jokic could own Gobert in the post, which he did that too. But yeah, Donovan Mitchell was really their, obviously, 57 points, their only chance at winning this game. And Mike Conley, he didn't start off his season with the Jazz very well, but in this bubble, he's been averaging like 17 points per game, so he could make a difference. We'll definitely get them. Who the Jazz started like a rookie, right?
Yeah.
They started what's his name? Morgan.
Yeah,
Who
Jawan.
had like who had like 22 total starts like in his NBA career. So yeah, you'll have more experience, definitely veteran presence, but I don't think the Nuggets are too concerned about him being like a scoring option. His defense will help a little bit, but the Nuggets prove that they can kind of take the challenge, I think. And I don't know, I don't think he adds that much more versatility than what the Jazz already have.
Yeah. Yeah, and just like as far as defense, obviously there's been a concern there since the bubble game started. The Nuggets had one of the best defenses in the regular season. You mentioned their defensive efficiency, I think, and in the playoffs or in the bubble or in the seeding games, let's put it that way. It hasn't been great. And at points today, I would say it felt better, but, it still ended up being 115 points at the end of 48 minutes. Of course, we only give up 10 in overtime. But what were your thoughts on how the defense ended up playing today?
They did better than I anticipated. Again, what I mentioned with Torrey Craig getting an early foul trouble, that doesn't help them. With Donovan Mitchell, who's proved to be a useful tool in defending him all season. The first matchup the Nuggets had against the Jazz, Torrey Craig guarded him all game, and Donovan Mitchell ended with 4 points. That's what you want to see. But then obviously he gets in foul trouble, he gets blocking fouls and screening fouls. That can't happen, obviously, because that puts a lot of pressure on the next guy up. And Jamie Grant couldn't do a very good job guarding. Donovan Mitchell was just on fire today, and you'd hope 57 points isn't a daily thing because it shouldn't be, but it's still something you need to keep track of because defense is the one thing that you can't control. And so I think there's definitely obviously room for improvement, but it could have been worse. Outside of Donovan Mitchell, the rest of their team wasn't too big of a threat, so I thought that was good.
Yeah. Obviously Torrey Craig in foul trouble. He's still our best defender that we have currently. It just feels like once we're able to get Harrison Barton back into the mix, that'll help. Just as far
as especially coming off the bench, that'd be great. If even Gary Harris coming off the bench, because there's no way he's going to start.
Yeah,
coming off the bench, giving us defensive presence would be a great thing to add. But yeah, another thing that I was going to add that does concern me moving forward a little bit. The Nuggets, this game they shot 53% from the 3-point line. They made 22 3-pointers when most games, I think they're shooting about 22 3-pointers. So that's not something that's going to happen every single night. I think they had a great shooting night. That's not going to happen every single time. So usually their game is a lot of points in the paint. They're a lot of times getting 70 points in the paint. This game they only had 40. So I think that's a big, not a concern necessarily, but something to keep your eye on. Obviously shooting in the bubble does seem to be a consistently better thing, but it's not something I don't think the Nuggets just aren't in the past, haven't relied on it all that much, but they did a lot tonight. So that's something to keep your eye on for the rest of the series and how they kind of approach that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually at the game at the end of January where we held Donovan Mitchell to 4 points, and I don't know. And then the second time we played them in the regular season was a comeback victory for us in the fourth quarter, led by Jokic. And then obviously the bubble matchup where Jamal Murray's first game back, we ended up beating them in overtime. And then during today's broadcast, they're like, the Nuggets overwhelmed the Jazz during the regular season. I was just like, I think our 3 victories against them were by a combined 11 points, but okay, I guess we've beaten them every time. But I don't know. I hope it doesn't go 7 because that's how it was last year. I hope that the Nuggets can. I think it's good. I think the Nuggets can finish this off in 6 games if they put their minds to it. But it's just gonna be like we need to see how the next few games go and see how this team really has matured throughout the season and throughout these seeding games in the bubble, and see if they're able to string together playoff victories.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. You're gonna have to see how other players step up, see if Torrey Craig can keep up his performance, and see if MPJ can up his defense enough to keep him on the floor and keep him as an offensive asset. And just kind of, I don't know, they have a lot of options to go with. You'd hope the choices they make end up proving like that they can pull out victories after victory because it's obvious that they're the better team than the Jazz. They're a more complete team, but they have a history of hurting themselves in situations, whether it's shooting themselves out of the game or defensively playing themselves out of the game. So I'm sure Michael Malone has talked to them about both of those, and I think that they'll come out ready for the next game.
Yep. Yeah. Hopefully, if they're able to build an early lead in game 2, they can keep it and not
Keep
stress
it, yeah. That's
theirs
a big
out.
thing. Is relinquishing the lead because that's annoying when they get up by 10 and then you get a swing where you miss an open layup or something, and then the Jazz come by and hit a three, and then all of a sudden instead of 12-point game, it's now a 7-point game, and it just keeps getting worse like that. That was a theme early on.
Yep. Well, the Nuggets game obviously was stressful. And then a game that was not stressful at all this afternoon was the Avalanche game
No
against the
kidding.
Coyotes, game 4, a 7-1 victory for the Avalanche. So, what were your initial thoughts on this series so far, Brian? And do you think we can finish it off on Wednesday?
You'd think so. It was hard to watch them drop the third game, as they got a goal already after they relinquished an empty net goal, and you're like, oh, like hoping because they're outplaying them. They've been outplaying them this entire series, but seeing that they couldn't just hang on to that game and go for a sweep was tough. But they bounced back this game. Obviously, they showed them that they're not to play around with, which is nice. They had 3 goals in the first period, which is great. 2 of them on power plays in the last 4 minutes. So capitalizing on power plays is a big part to getting those leads ahead. So yeah, I hope they would. Their next game is on Wednesday, right?
Yeah,
Or hopefully the last game
yeah.
of that series. Yeah, I don't know. They did great.
Yeah. I think we'll finish the deal on Wednesday. I'm expecting Arizona to make it push. Though obviously in that game 5 facing elimination, it's just gonna be up to the Avs to stay within the system and try to get that early goal. We saw game 4. They get the goal somewhat early in the game. And then game two was probably their worst game of the series, if I'm being completely honest. But we did get the early goal in that game. So I think that right now 3-1 probably is a good barometer of how this series has gone because game 2 could have gone either way. The goal that the Avs won the game on was kind of a lucky shot. Obviously with Kadri shooting it and then it going straight to Burakovsky on the other side. Hopefully Burakovsky's okay after his injury today. He limped off. I don't know if he returned. But yeah, today was such a good game. Makar's goal was such a, I don't know,
Yeah.
Makar's goal is like one of those goals where, the next morning you're going to be watching Sports Center Top 10 and then they're going to have like dunks and stuff that are higher than it and you're just going to shake your head because he skated right through the defense.
Yeah, that was crazy. And what he can do as a rookie is still incredible. And to think his, I like making the comparison kind of how he and MPJ have a similar kind of almost story in terms of playoffs and how their first real like experience is kind of like just being thrown into like the highest level of competition. But he's shown that he can hang up there, and he's doing really well. That's good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, and then McKinnon, I think, has been the best player this entire series.
By far.
Even though he hasn't necessarily had the goals to go along with it. Um, I don't know. I just feel like the nation, both U.S. and Canada. Well, Canada knows who Nathan McKinnon is, but just as far as like the broadcasting the Avs in the middle of the afternoon on a Wednesday, not really any national exposure. I don't know.
Yeah, especially for a second seed.
This is probably just you know they're gonna introduce themselves. They're gonna
Yeah,
not
especially the way
necessarily.
they're playing is really good too. Just I don't know. Everyone's getting a piece. Kadri's been playing insane. He had his third and fourth goals today, right?
Yeah,
He's been doing well, finishing off, just like rebounds, being there, making plays. I think he also had an assist, right?
yeah,
Yeah, he had an assist
probably.
today too. He had three
Yeah,
points. I don't know. Just he's been playing great, usually breaking the ice open for them. And then again, just like if they can just stay on top of power plays and capitalize on those, because when we see them do that, it's obviously um, it kind of prompts more success for them. But then they don't, then they aren't given the chance to get ahead, and then that's when you see them fighting when it's even, and then Arizona thinks they have a chance, and that's when confidence is kind of the best tool. Um, and you just want to get rid of Arizona's confidence as fast as you can.
yeah,
Get off
yeah.
to those early leads.
Just go for the jugular in Game 5. They did it today. Just it's just like today was really the showing that they're a mature team. They're gonna play the full 60 minutes. It's just like this is the first time, at least since I've started watching Avs hockey, where I think there's a real chance this team can go far, and it's just awesome to see. And it feels like our cup window's wide open, even for the next 2-3 seasons. So
Definitely, especially like I don't know, like we even had those kind of aspirations last season, but it's clear that they're much better this year too. They kind of got lucky getting into they had the run to get into the playoffs last year, but Avs fans are really confident, like wow, like this team's actually really good. Obviously they ended up losing to San Jose, um, but yeah, they just look way better and like you said, more mature. They're the more mature team, and I think that they being like one of the higher seeds, and they're not like underdogs either. Like the Nuggets are like a higher seed, but are underdogs a lot of the time. But yeah, they're showing that they can put their full strength out there, and yeah, their cup chances are better than any time in recent history.
yeah, yeah, it's so much fun
It's
to
exciting.
watch.
Yeah,
Yeah. I just hope they can make a run at it.
yeah.
You
For
don't
what?
want.
Go
Go
for it.
ahead.
There you go.
Okay,
What are you
I
gonna
just
say?
said you don't want to get too high after a victory, but like I don't know. It's like if like they should win Game 5. I'll just put it that way. Let's win
Yeah,
it
they're the
high
better team.
heaven. Yep.
They show
So
they play with more composure. They're not like they don't have their heels on the ground like they're always up and getting it. So yeah, they should definitely run them off the ice, which is exactly what they did today. And if they can keep that up throughout the playoffs, then they're gonna definitely have a shot.
yep.
It's exciting. It's an exciting time. This Colorado sports hasn't been. We haven't been this excited since like April of last year when both the Nuggets and the Avs were in the playoffs. But they're both in like not even arguably, they're both like definitively in better positions than they were last year. So it's even more exciting. So
Yep.
that's it's fun. It's a fun time.
Yeah. I do have some follow-up NBA questions for you. So
Yeah, shoot.
obviously the Clippers losing to the Mavs right now. I don't know what the score is now. But
Clippers are up by 6 now.
do you think
It's a close game.
Do you think Dallas has any chance of making it a long series?
I think they have the best chance out of any series in this, both the West and East. Because the Mavericks, they're the team I didn't want the Nuggets to play because like they're competing highly with the Clippers. Um, and it's only game one, and Luke is just making his team better, and he's really fun to watch if you ever watched their games. Yeah, I think they have the best chance to make something happen. I wish they would have been like an 8 seed and like made a run at the Lakers because I think they could. I don't know. Their offense, when the season was put on pause, when they had the hiatus, their offense was the best in the league. Their offensive efficiency, they're scoring like 120 points, 130 points a game. So they're definitely, I want to say dark horse, but they're not. Like teams know about them. Like they're definitely dangerous, and I think they have a shot to at least make it a series.
Yeah,
It's good to see.
for sure. And then speaking of the 8 seed, how about the Blazers against the Lakers? What do you see that? How do you see that series playing out?
I see Lakers in 5, maybe 6.
Really?
I don't know, but it could go either way. Like I was mentioning earlier, the Lakers have been struggling when they finish their seeding games. So and the Blazers are the hottest team right now. So anything can happen, especially the whole thing about there's no home or away games. You don't have to go into Staples Center and be worried about your performance there. You don't have to, because that's always a big thing. That's not a problem anymore. So who knows? It could actually be either a really good series, or I think the Lakers could just blow them out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends how they play, because when their bigs are working in it too, which takes some pressure off Dame, it works. But Dame is showing because they're doubling him at half court, and he's still making like the extra passes. The bigs are doing work, but he's still like getting buckets at
Yeah.
half court, being doubled at half court. So I don't know. That's really interesting series to watch as well.
Yeah. It seems like I don't know. It seems like maybe the talking heads are talking up a little bit for the ratings on, because they're
Yeah,
actually going to be
definitely.
in
That's
prime
kind of
time.
the theme. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, just like the 1 versus the 8. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Lakers may end up blowing them out, but I don't know. I'm just wondering if people actually think that this is gonna be a series, or if it's just like, oh, the Portland hype train, here we come.
I
Which
think what could happen is Portland steals game one, and then game two is close. Could go either way, but then no matter what happens, I think LeBron won't let them lose. Like he
yeah,
can't. LeBron is still in his the end of his prime. Near the end of his prime, he's still the best player, best all around player, and I don't know. He's can make the game go however he wants. I think Anthony Davis is actually the biggest kind of X factor. If he's on, then there's no doubt that Lakers win. But if he's not, then that opens up the way for the Blazers to maybe make a push. So it's kind of falls in the hands of him, I think.
alrighty. And then the Rockies, they're 13-8. We'll see how tonight's game end up playing out. Just kind of probably their worst week yet, just with the homestand and only going 2-4 in the homestand. But do you think it's just gonna be like a little lull here where we're playing like 500, but we're still gonna be able to maintain our position as far as being ahead of San Diego, Arizona?
I mean, you hope so. That's kind of the idea, is that even when you're not playing your best baseball, you can still hover around 500, as opposed to when we've seen them in the past, their worst baseball is much below that. And they'll go on long skids where the pitching isn't clicking, they're not getting runs in. Or what we've seen recently is they're hitting runs in, but they're pitching, usually the relief pitching just hasn't been up to par. But so when the relief pitching is on, they're doing really well. Like the game on, what was it? It was their last game against the Rangers that they won.
Yeah, the 10-6.
10-6.
Yeah,
Yeah, like or was it Cal Freeland?
Gray started.
Yeah, John Gray. He started and he gave up a 2-run home run and another solo home run like pretty early on. Um, but then those were his only 3 hits. He was the home run, the batter before that, and then the other home run. So he played actually really well, and it was nice to see him he pitched I think 7 innings, so he like kept it up. And the longer you can have your starting pitcher go, the better chance we have. The less of a chance we have the bullpen to blow it for us. But yeah, I think that's kind of the key for them. So you'd hope they can keep it up moving throughout. We're already a third of the way into the season.
Yeah.
It's a really fast season, so they don't really have time to mess around. So you hope to see them pick it up.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last thing I have to say is Bayern Munich beat Barcelona 8-2.
I saw that.
Oh my
I saw
goodness,
that.
what a game! And then
What's the
Barcelona
score at
fired
halftime?
4-1. So yeah, they
It's Messi.
4-1.
There was talk about Messi being dealt.
Yeah. They think
After
Messi's
that
gonna go
game.
to Man City. They fired their coach. They're gonna hire a guy that, at least from what I read, that the fans wouldn't like. Yeah, you just don't know. I mean, Bayern Munich this season honestly was kind of unexpected because you had Niko Kovac in there, who everyone hated, and then they fired him, and now they have Hansi Flick, who was on that staff. But Hansi Flick is like a godsend. He's made this team amazing, and Lewandowski would have won Ballon d'Or if they were like, oh, Messi and Ronaldo aren't gonna win it, so let's just cancel it for this year.
Yeah.
Freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a dumb. Oh yeah, I didn't agree with that.
So I mean, but yeah, it's gonna be fun to see how they do against Lyon, and then the other semifinal is PSG against Red Bull Leipzig. Which was a little surprising to see after Timo Werner went to Chelsea. But yeah, I mean, it's just so great that sports are back now, and it just seems
It's
like
fun. It's a good time.
it seems like there's stuff like any sport. There's some sort of rooting interest for anyone that cares about sports in there. So
Yeah,
I
there's the
just hope.
storylines that draw you in that you see. Even if you're not super invested in it, you see it on all over Instagram or wherever you're at. It's a good time. Good fun to see. Long
Yeah.
time coming.
Yeah, so hopefully we can continue to see it and see how these playoffs end up going out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Let's go Nuggets, go Avs.
Yep.
Hopefully
All
they
right.
can take care of business.
Yep. All right. Did you have anything else to add?
I don't think so. You're good.
Yeah, I have one thing to say. Marco Andretti won pole for the Indy 500. Obviously, the Andretti name, Marco has not had the career that is in any way equivocable to his father or grandfather. But I mean, it's just Marco, you just kind of want to see him pull this one out and win the Indy 500 because his father, that's the one thing Michael Andretti was never able to do. So that's this Sunday along with the Champions League now, so that'll be fun to watch. And we may even talk before then, but we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah. Cool. Sounds good.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me tonight, Brian, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening to the Bean and BCord podcast. Peace out.